Hi there, this is Shana Siegel. I'm chair of the Elder Law Group at Norris McLaughlin, and I hope everyone in your household is healthy and safe. In these uncertain times, we wanted to take the opportunity to speak with you about healthcare decision making. So let's get into it. So I find that people like to plan everything, vacations, retirement, their futures, except for the one thing we all know is going to happen, which is end of life issues. No one wants to talk about those difficult subjects. And a lot of that, I think, comes around that discomfort and superstition. And one of the goals of my discussion today is to really try and change that narrative for people and think about why it is important to plan. There's a lot of discussion right now about controlling what you can control. You can maintain control over your health care by appointing a healthcare representative and documenting your wishes. We're going to talk about all of the various documents that you can use to document your wishes. But you can also just start the conversation with your family today. This is obviously meant to add a little levity, but the fact is that if we don't document what we want to happen, others will make decisions for us, and not necessarily the decisions we would have made. New Jersey has always been at the forefront of recognizing patient self-determination. The New Jersey Advanced Directive Act lays out the requirements for documenting our wishes. The document must be signed, dated, and signed before either a notary or two witnesses. Now, I know right now that can be challenging. However, you can have witnesses out in a public place, maybe on your driveway, on your porch, following social distancing, or there is new legislation that allows for notarization through video, where that notary can watch the document being signed. But even if you can't meet these requirements, I would still tell you to document your wishes, because although not legally enforceable, that document is still going to be strong evidence of what your wishes would be. The person who you're appointing as agent cannot be one of the witnesses. So try and see if you can get a neighbor or someone else who might be able to witness the document for you. And note that the last document in time governs. So if you have a number of these, you've done one each time you went to a hospital, you want to make sure that the latest one is the one that reflects what your wishes are currently. A healthcare proxy, also referred to as a medical power of attorney, is an individual who can step into your shoes and make the decisions regarding your healthcare at a time that you can't. It's really important to think about who that person should be, who will do what you want and be able to make those tough decisions at the right time. You should really only appoint one person at a time. You can have them in an order. So you say, I want this person to make a decision. If they're not available, then I want this other person. You can require that they speak with each other and consult and make a decision as a family, but one person should be that primary contact for the physician and the facilities. There are restrictions, so you wouldn't be able to name your primary doctor, an administrator, or employee of a facility where you're residing. And that person is required to respect your wishes. So if you've named someone and they do something that is wanted, then they could be challenged. Instruction directives, also referred to as living wills, are documents where you specify your wishes in specific healthcare scenarios. I find these are most useful when they focus on functional limitations. For instance, would I want to terminate treatment if I were no longer able to interact with my family members? These documents are meant to provide insight into the values, goals, and preferences, and then be able to apply those to the given situation at the time. They're not just limited to life-sustaining treatment. You can include a lot of information about what your preferences are and what you want your end of life to look like. Unfortunately, a lot of times these documents are not available when needed, or they're not going to be recognized in an emergency room or in an emergent setting. They also are often insufficiently clear and detailed to address the current situation that the patient is facing. And that's why it's important to have conversations with your family members to supplement what's in writing. Unlike a living will, a do not resuscitate order is a medical order which is issued by a doctor and entered into your medical record. That's important because it can then be honored by first responders and should be posted in your home or in your medical record if you're in a facility. Another important tool is a POLST, a provider order on life-sustaining treatment. This is a document that again is a medical order, and that's important because it can be recognized in an emergent setting, and it can go with you from place to place, whether you're at home, in a hospital, or in a facility. It's most often used by individuals who have serious chronic illnesses, life-limiting or terminal illnesses, early cognitive impairment, or are particularly frail and weak. And it addresses what their goals of care are given their particular healthcare situation at that point. It's important to have a healthcare agent regardless of whether you would want them to terminate treatment. Patients without surrogates are often at risk of either overtreatment or undertreatment. When they're in hospitals, often we find that they end up staying longer and end up receiving a lot of unnecessary care, and that can result in them having an increased chance of infection. People at home who don't have surrogates often don't have care uh, administered to them, and then they end up not getting any treatment until an emergency arises. And that can really cause suffering for them. So it's really important, especially for people who don't have immediate family, to designate someone to act as their surrogate. Don't you just love this picture? I truly believe that documenting your healthcare wishes can be enormously empowering. You can designate who you want to decide, what care you want, and when it is time to stop treatment. That allows you to really control everything that can be controlled. It also gives family members a huge gift. It tells them what your wishes are so they aren't faced with difficult choices, and it allows them to have control over the little things, whether that's the type of sheets you want, or the type of music you want, or any other thing that's really important to you. What is most important to you? A quick little story. I gave this lecture once, and I had a woman come up to me later and say, "You mean I can tell my sons how important it is to me to pull the little chin hairs that I have?" Because that to her was dignity. Whatever to you is important and will make you feel dignified and heard at the end of your life, that's what needs to go into your document. I find this inspiring. Nancy Cruzan didn't have the chance to control her story, and as a result, she languished for almost 8 years. But we have the opportunity to take charge, take control, share with our loved ones what our wishes are, and tell our own story. Thank you. Again, I hope everybody is safe and healthy, and use this time to spend time with your family and talk about the things that are important. Be well. Thank you.